all about trying to affect positive change through a policy level because we feel that Trump is really a symptom and not a cause. So we want to actually keep this momentum going and really fight for people's rights and all that. So why we're here, the March for Truth. It's a national demonstration that's happening in over 140 cities. Several are happening overseas. There's one even in Moscow. So for many of us, like, we got really fired up about this when Trump fired James Comey. That was a big wake-up call to, like, hey, what's really going on? So we want to make sure that our goals for the march are that we try and get an independent commission, must be established, and congressional investigations should be properly resourced and pursued free of partisan interests. As much information be made available to the public as possible and as soon as possible. Congress should require Donald Trump to release his tax returns to clarify his business interests. If crimes were committed or if collusion is discovered, it must be prosecuted. So we have some people here speaking with us today, and our first person up is Rachna Heiser. Rachna is a member of Lawyers for Good Government, an organization founded after the election to fight for equality, justice, and the future of our nation. Rachna is a longtime disability rights advocate and a lawyer with a background in constitutional law, employment law, and disability rights. She received both her Bachelor of Arts in Political Economy and her Juris Doctor from the University of California at Berkeley. Rachna is an appointed member of the Fairfax County Public School Board's Advisory Committee for Students with Disabilities and a member of the Fairfax County Public Schools Inclusion Workgroup. She's an instructor in the Human Resources Department at Texas Tech University, where she teaches classes in employment law, leadership, cultural competency, and diversity in the workplace. She regularly presents to federal agencies and private employers on neurodiversity, cultural competency, and workplace accommodations for people with behavioral disabilities. Formerly, she was president of the Bly Solutions Management, a consulting firm offering ADA and EEOC compliance training. She has authored educational materials on employment law, diversity in organizations, and civil rights, and presented as an expert on the ADA EEOC panels. Prior to her position at Texas Tech University, she taught constitutional law at George Mason University. So everyone give it up for Rachna.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for having me speak. I'm honored to be here. As a lawyer, I know we get a bad rap, but for once, I think the lawyers are going to save our country. Right? And that is why we are here. We are here for the law. We are here. I stand before you as a citizen of the United States. I stand before you as an attorney sworn to uphold and defend the laws of the United States of America. Not the people who run it, but the laws that govern us. I stand before you in an exercise of the rights we were given by our founding fathers, the right to speak. Right? And I stand before you today to tell you those same founding fathers who gave us this right are calling to us from the past, right here, to say to us, to remind us, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal, that we have, say it with me, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And these rights are secured by the consent of the governed. The consent of you, the consent of me, right? And we are here to tell our government, if they refuse to listen to our voices, it is not only our right, but our duty to make our voices heard. It is our duty to protect our democracy from those who seek to destroy it. And that is why we are here today, right? Protect our democracy. When our founding fathers wrote those words, they wrote them because they knew a government by the people, a democracy, was just and right and honorable. Right? Just, right, honorable. Those are words that man in the White House has no clue what they mean. Right? No clue. He only knows covfefe. Right? And what did our founding fathers do? What did they give us? What did they leave us so we can protect our rights, to protect our democracy? They gave us the Constitution. Thank you, ma'am. You get an A. Right? They gave us the Constitution. They declared in our Constitution that we are governed by law, not by despots, not by kings, and certainly not by traitors. Right? We are governed by law. We are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is our government, and it's time we take it back. Am I right? Right? It is high time we, the people, take our country back from those who collude with foreign powers. It is high time we, the people, take our country back from those who sell our democracy to the highest bidder. Right? It is high time we, the people, remind our elected officials they work for us. And they owe us the truth. Right? So who runs our government? We do. Who rules us? The law. Who rules us? The law. Right? What do we want? The truth. When do we want it? Now! Now! Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Now. We deserve it. And the first step is to be loud and vigilant and persistent. Right here in Richmond and at rallies all across the nation today. We will be loud, we will be vigilant, and we will be heard. Am I right? Do not let your voices be silent. We will ensure we remain a government for the people and by the people. We, the people, have a right to ensure our leaders are loyal to the United States, not to some foreign government. Right? Right? We, the people, have the right to ensure that our president is a legitimate president. Right? That our president won fair and square. He did not steal our election.
He stole it.
Right, well, I agree. But, right, fellow citizens, our nation has forgotten that our founding fathers were liberals. Right? They were liberals. They were revolutionaries. They were radicals. They were not selling our country to the highest bidder. Right? They were a group of independent leaders who said, I have the right for my voice to be heard. I have the right to say how I am governed. I have the right to say how my tax dollars are spent. And I have the right to know what my elected leaders are doing and to recall those leaders when they don't listen to my voice.
It's right.
Right? At the heart of it all is our Constitution, is our law. No one is above the law, not even the president. And we, the people, we are the protectors of that law. And we will use it against anyone who steals our democracy, even the president. Right? That is what we understand. The 130,000 of us attorneys who are part of members of Lawyers for Good Government, which was formed after the election, we know that duty. We heard the call of John Adams, who said, we are a country of laws, not men. We heard the call of Benjamin Franklin, who said, we have formed a republic if we can keep it. We are here today to keep our republic, right? We are here today to keep our democracy. And one might argue, keeping our republic, working, speaking, having our voices heard, it's never been more important than it is right here, right now. Right? We are under threat more than we have in decades. Am I right?
Yes.
Right? More than we have in decades. How, you might ask? I don't have to tell you, but I will. Right? Evidence shows Russia interfered in our election. Russia interfered. And where are the Republicans? Nowhere. Nowhere. Thank you. This is an attack on our sovereignty. Our nation is under attack by Russia. And where are the Republicans? Where are their
Specialist from Progress Virginia, an organization that stands up for progressive values and holds the right wing accountable. Earlier this year, Progress Virginia live streamed the General Assembly's committee meetings to push the legislature to be more transparent. In 2017, we know our mission is more critical than ever. Now's the time to stand up, to fight back, to resist. Jen?
Hello, sisters and brothers, friends and neighbors, fellow Virginians. Again, I'm Jen. I'm from Progress, Virginia. Thank you so much for attending today's march. We're demanding accountability from the federal government about Russian interference in our democratic process. The intention of the Russian hacking and interference in the November 8th election was to undermine faith in our national institutions. If they didn't accomplish that by engaging in cyber warfare, then they're trying to get the job done with Donald Trump as president. Since his inauguration, the Trump administration has worked diligently away at destroying our democracy and the values that bring us together as Americans. Trump has repeatedly defied ethics guidelines without consequence. Trump has made hundreds of false claims. Trump has attacked the integrity of voting, even his own election. Trump has attacked the independent court system, and he's attacked the foundation of every democracy, the free press. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. In our country, we're living in a climate of fear due to Trump's agenda. People are afraid of losing their health insurance and dying from preventable diseases. Immigrants are afraid of leaving their houses at risk of getting picked up by ICE and being separated from their families. Foreign students are afraid of returning home for break and not being able to re-enter the US. College graduates are afraid of losing the protections that help them pay off their student loan debt. Minorities are afraid of being attacked by white supremacists emboldened by Trump's racist rhetoric. Yep. Denying people health care is not a Virginian value. Denying people opportunities is not a Virginian value. Hatred and discrimination against our friends and neighbors is not a Virginian value. Tearing families apart is not a Virginian value. The Trump agenda has constantly attacked our values as a free society that treats everyone equally. In a society based on democratic laws and beliefs, citizens choose to follow not just laws, but also many ethical standards based on honesty, integrity, compassion, equality, and honor. These ethical standards bring us together and make us responsible toward our neighbors and our communities. When lies are normal and ethical standards are flouted, we would be lying to ourselves to think that such toxicity will not tear apart the fabric of our democracy. I was born in Northern Virginia. I'm the daughter of union members, and the values of honesty, hard work, and equal rights for everyone were impressed upon me at an early age. I came to live in Richmond to attend VCU, and since graduating, I've been privileged to travel all over the world and meet wonderful and interesting people. But let me tell you, there's no place like home. People all over the world look to our country as a model for equality and justice, and even though I've left many times, I've always returned to Richmond because I've loved watching it grow as an artistic, progressive, and multicultural city. I've always returned because I want to contribute to the progressive change occurring in Virginia. To quote the great Seth Meyers, Trump's presidency is kind of like the movie Snakes on a Plane. Sure, the idea is entertaining, but an actual snake on your plane would be terrifying. And that's what's happening now. The plane is American democracy, and the snake is Trump. Who's going to be the Samuel L. Jackson that saves his plane from snakes? You all. How are you going to do it? By organizing locally, showing up at protests and town hall meetings, calling or writing your members of Congress. Did you know that you can just show up at your representative's office in DC and talk to them personally? It scares the crap out of them, but I've done it. You can do it too. Stay vigilant and stand up to bullies like Trump and Putin. Talk to your neighbors. If you have a neighbor who's an immigrant, a minority, talk to them, check in with them, make sure they're doing okay. If they need your help, offer it to them. Continue participating and don't lose faith in our country. Also, vote.
Yes.
Right now, we are standing on the grounds of the Virginia State Capitol. This is where many laws are passed that affect our lives and the lives of our neighbors. A lot of us, however, don't pay attention to what happens on a state and local level for many reasons. But now, more than ever, you need to get involved. On November 7th, Virginia is voting for a new governor, lieutenant governor, and for every seat in the House of Delegates. This year, we have more women than ever before running for office. This is a critical moment for you to act and stand up for progressive values in our state. We have primaries on June 13th, and the statewide election is on November 7th. Please vote. If you want more information about the candidates running for office, be sure to look up Progress Virginia's voter guide at vaballotguide.org. Again, it's vaballotguide.org. And every polling station where you normally vote at should be open on June 13th for the primaries. And please vote. And trust me, democracy is worth saving. You can do this. Thank you very much.
All right, so our next speaker is Karina Lane. Karina Lane is a tenured law professor at the University of Richmond, where she has just finished a 5-year term as Associate Dean of Faculty Development. Professor Lane is a legal historian who writes about the Supreme Court, the conditions under which it protects minority rights, and the death penalty more broadly. The nature of her scholarship is cross-disciplinary and is often situated at the intersection of law and politics, giving her a unique perspective on the political events we see today. Before becoming a law professor, Professor Lane was a local prosecutor here in Richmond. And before that, she was a sergeant in the United States Army. She loves her country, she loves justice and mercy, and she loves truth. And like the rest of us, she's freaking out.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming out for this. I'm Karina Lane, and before I have anything substantive to say, I just have to take a moment and just put a name on the absurdity of this moment that we are actually having to march for truth. Like it's some controversial thing. You know, when I was first asked, I thought, like, march for truth is like marching for puppy dogs, you know, or like ice cream or a beautiful day. Right? Who could why would we ever need to march for truth? It is so obvious. It is such an obvious good and just thing. And yet, here we are. Right? Here I am. Here you are. It is a beautiful day in Richmond, Virginia. Some of you traveled from out of town to come here. And you came here because it was worth it. Because you said, no, I actually have to march for this. I had to get up, forget everything else I was doing, and I actually had to come down here and march for it because it was that important. So I first just want to say thank you. Thank you for recognizing it was that important. Thank you for getting it and making the time to come down here. As for me, I'm going to keep it pretty short. I just have 3 things that I've been thinking about, that maybe you can keep in mind as we march today, and maybe you can keep in mind after we march today. So the first is kind of dark, then it gets a little bit lighter, and then the end is light. First, the darkness, which is why we're here. And it is darkness. I feel like when Trump was elected, this huge, dark, ugly cloud landed on our country, and little raindrops of hate and lies and misogyny and xenophobia are just raining down on us. I have never in my lifetime experienced what is happening in our country. But I thought about, well, let me just list some of these non-truths, and then I realized, oh my gosh, my little 10 minutes, I'm gonna waste it on that. There's just too many. And so my first point, instead of just naming a couple of these, I thought I'd just give you 2 numbers. 2 numbers. And the numbers are from Fact Check from the first 100 days, because you know at the first 100 days is this big mile marker in every presidency, and everybody's counting things. So 2 numbers from the first 100 days from Fact Checker. 492. Not 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. 492. That is the number of misstatements and misrepresentations and misleading statements, which they define as things that are more false than true. Because you know that falsity can have a kernel of truth in it. So 492 is the number of lies, of misstatements and misleading statements that Trump made in 100 days. That is 4.9 a day. That is 4.9 a day. Yeah, is that all? Well, interesting, in the report they said, this is hard to keep track of. And it really is, it's overwhelming. Here's the second number, which kind of makes it a little worse. And the second number is 10. 10 is the number of days that Trump made no misstatement. 6 of those days he was out golfing. Right? So he's making up for it on all the other days. I think there's 6 or 7 days where he made 20, because all of the research shows that if you say something again and again and again, there's this enormous cohort of people who are just not paying attention, and it sinks in and they take it as true. So, that's my first point, is the darkness of why we're here, because it's worthy. Because this is an assault, and I understand, the need for an independent investigation, the lies, the cover-up, all of that that's happening with Russiagate is a central part of this. But this Russiagate is an assault on our democracy, and it's an assault on truth. It's an assault on both. And today we march for both. Right? Today we march for both. Okay, so my second point is, for me, a picture, a visualization, and it's not original to me. It's from an interview that Masha Geshen did, and it's just stuck with me. And when I was asked to speak at this, I thought, that's just what keeps coming into my mind. And she was saying Trump, she's a Russian dissident. If you haven't read her stuff or seen her stuff, it's really worth just Googling and taking a look. But she said, Trump is like a bully on the playground. And the bully takes your pencil box. And you say, give me back my pencil box. And the bully says, I don't have your pencil box. And you say, yes, you do. It's right there. I see it. And he goes, no, I don't. I don't have it. And it fits so perfectly, because in that situation, what that bully is doing is not just lying. That bully is saying, I'm claiming power over reality. I have the power to say what's real, even though when you're looking at it, you're like, that's not true. And so I think it's really important that we talk about the lies, but that we realize what this is. It's a power play. He is asserting a power to define the truth. And once you think about it in that way and kind of get it in your head, then you realize, I'm not going to beat that bully. Think about, all of us were there. We all knew that bully on the playground. You can't beat that bully by yourself. So there's 2 things you can do. 1, run and tell. And I'm like, yeah, who's that? DeVos? Sessions? That's not going to work out so well for us. Tattling's not going to work this time. But now, imagine it's not just you saying, give me back my pencil box. Imagine it's you and 5 of your friends crowding in on that bully's space. Imagine it's you and the whole class, 20, 25, 30 people crowding around. Imagine it's you and the whole school saying to that bully, it's right there, give it back. Today is us saying, it's right there, we see it, give it back. Give me back my pencil box, give me back my environment, give me back my education, give me back my truth. That's it. That's what we get to do today. That's what today is about. And then my third point, briefly, is, we can't go tell. It has to be us. But the third point is, that's what it should be, right? This is our democracy. And so it belongs to us. It's for us, for the taking. And I do write at the intersection of law and society, and I'm a legal historian. And what I can tell you from that is this. What we know to be sure, absolutely sure, is that first of all, voting matters. So you guys already know that, but my gosh, go vote, go get everybody else to vote. But aside from voting, this stuff, it matters. It really, really matters. What we see right now is somehow our elected representatives are just eons away from the will of the people. There is a will of the people. There really is. There was at the election, and it's just been agitated and agitated and agitated. And I feel like this is democracy, and we're just coughing up this hairball, you know? And the hairball is orange. And it's horrible. But we have to do that. We have to do those motions. Democracy, when it gets at odds like that, and when the people speak up, when they march, when they get agitated and write and call, democracy quakes. And it's a really, really important part of the process. And everything we know from history is that it makes a difference. In fact, what the research shows is that it not only makes a difference with people who are elected, and it makes a difference with judges. It makes a difference with people that you wouldn't think it would make a difference with. There are people out here, they read the papers, they watch the news, and they imbibe what the country is saying. When the country rises up and said, give it back, I want it back, and that's a lie, and I demand the truth, they listen. And so this is so important. I want to encourage you, I want to thank you again for coming out. I want to encourage you to gently suggest to your neighbors and friends to come out. My New Year's resolution, and it's playing out right now, is when I'm asked, say yes. Whenever I'm asked, say yes. And so I hope that that's a part of your today, but that you encourage your neighbors and your friends to say yes, because this is the stuff that really matters. So I'll close with a quote from Pope Francis. I'm not a Catholic, although he kind of makes me want to be one. Who wrote 2 days ago when the U.S. pulled out of the Paris Accord. And he said, through the darkness of today's conflicts, every one of us can become a bright candle, a reminder that light will overcome darkness. And so today, this March, we are candles. Every one of us are candles. And just as light will overcome darkness, truth will overcome lies. All
right, let's give it up one more time for Karina Lane. That was awesome. It is my very great pleasure to introduce Caroline Bohr. Caroline is a researcher who studies social and behavioral sciences by day and politics by night. She and her colleagues have published and presented research locally and internationally on a broad range of topics, including the spread of information on social media, the influence of media framing on public opinion and behavior, and the role of social norms in shaping attitudes and behavior. Caroline is a regular contributor on WRIR, that's Richmond's local independent radio station, and helped kick off open source RVA's newest show, Scotch and Reason, which is hosted by Don Mears and features discussion on human logic and reasoning. Caroline's training as a scientist instilled in her the values of transparency and accountability, which are also values that are fundamental to a functioning democracy. She has used this training to highlight the problematic lack of transparency in the current administration and the dangerous normalization of undemocratic trends in society and government. Caroline makes use of social media to study how these trends are influencing public opinion and group dynamics, and to identify common sources of misinformation. It is often said that democracy dies in the darkness, and it is Caroline's mission to keep shining a light on the emerging threats to the health of our own great democracy. Thank you. Come on, Caroline.
Hey, everybody. It's wonderful to be here with you today, and I'm so heartened to see the response to this event. And I want to take a minute to thank the organizers, the sponsors, and our partners for making this happen. This is amazing. This was turned from an idea to a reality so quickly, and all of you guys responded to that call. And I want to thank all of you for showing up here, for answering that call, for standing up for democracy. So thank you. Give yourself a second. So some of you may know me better as RBA Wonk. The one who got Roger Stone off Twitter for 24 hours. That's my claim to fame. You guys also probably know that I'm a scientist, and that science and democracy have a lot more in common than a lot of people think. People ask me, how did you get into politics, Caroline? You're a science nerd. That's not really your area, but it is. Science rests on the principles of accountability, of transparency, of free flow of information. So does democracy. And both of them fail when those principles fail. And so today, we're standing up for the very principles that our democracy depends on. And I want to stress how important it is that these shows of support happen. When Trump first took office, we heard a lot about the dangers of normalizing his behavior, the dangers of normalizing his style of politics. And those dangers are very real. They're still present. They will be present. But there's another side to normalization. There's also the ability to normalize good things. There's the ability to normalize democratic principles, to show that we care about truth, to show that we care about finding out what Russia did, whether Trump colluded with them, whether members of his administration colluded with them. When we stand up in these shows of support all across the country and internationally, that shows other people that you care, and it makes them more likely to stand up and say, I care too. So I want to encourage you to keep showing that you care, to understand that your behavior is already having a positive effect. We saw the appointment of a special counsel. That would not have happened without people like all of you standing up and demanding it. And that was a huge step forward, but it can't end there. That can't be the end of this investigation. That was a big step. But we still see that Congress and even the Trump administration can interfere with the special counsel's work. And based on what we've seen, they'll probably try to. We've seen Devin Nunes provide cover for the Trump administration. His role is to provide oversight of the president, not to provide cover for the president. That goes for everybody in Congress. Their role is to serve as a check on the executive branch, not to work for the executive branch. And we need to show that we realize that and that we are demanding that they do their job. Yeah. That checks and balances is a fundamental job duty of theirs, and that we expect them to fulfill it, or we will vote them out and vote in somebody who will do their job. So I just want to go through a few of the facts that we do know, some of the things that we do know to be true. We know that Russia interfered in
personal 4th District Representative, Congressman Donald McEachin.
How y'all doing? Before I get into the substance of my remarks, I just want to thank you. You have no idea what you all mean to me. I mean, it is just so encouraging to see you out here, to literally be the wind underneath my wings. Because, you know, even when you're there fighting the good fight, you need to be reminded sometimes of the people who you're fighting for. And so I thank you for being out here, and I thank you for being true to who you are and true to our country. And I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to continue to stay in contact with my office, continue to stay in contact with other folks who share your views. Of course, I expect you to talk to the folks who don't share your views, but you know, those of us who are in the bunker, those of us who are down there on the House floor and on the Senate floor who share your views need to hear from you. We don't hear from you enough. So can you promise? Can you promise? Thank you. Thank you. And I love the theme of this march, marching for truth, because there are many, many truths that need to be told. Yep. There's the truth that needs to be told. What is behind a president, a commander-in-chief, who can't even acknowledge an attack on our sovereignty? What is that truth? What is the truth behind a president who can temper his words for the Saudis, but refuses to embrace Article 5, the Musketeer Clause, all for one and one for all, when he talks to our NATO allies? What is the truth? What is the truth behind a president who, while Russia spies off our shores, menaces our country, acts up all over the globe, and he wants to give back property? He wants to lift sanctions. What is the truth behind that? And does that truth lie in some tax returns? Does that truth lie in a former MI6 agent's dossier? What is the truth behind a son-in-law trying to set up back-channel communications even before your father-in-law is president of the United States? What is that truth? And there are many more truths that need to be told. And I got to tell you, I am so proud that Virginians are leading the way, because I need to give a shout out to Mark Warner, who is working each and every day on the Senate Intelligence Committee to find out that truth. And I'm embarrassed to tell you all this, because I'm a proud member of the House of Representatives, but all the adults are over in the Senate. All the adults are over in the Senate. You know, remarks have been made about the past. And I want to read something to you that literally keeps me going every day. If I can pull it up. All right, it's going to force me to memorize it. It's from Thomas Paine, so if I don't get it exactly right, you'll forgive me. But these are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will shrink from their duty, but those who stand behind her country will win the love of both man and woman. You and I are not summer soldiers. You and I are not sunshine patriots. What we are is we're black, we're white, we're yellow, we're brown, we're gay, we're straight, we're husbands, we're wives, but we're lovers of our republic, one and all. And when the history of the 21st century is written, let it be said that we stood on the side of our country, that we took our country back against enormous odds. But just like generations before us, just like those at Bunker Hill, just like those who fought Jim Crow, just like generations before us, we are answering the call. We know our country is in need, and it's all hands on deck, folks. All hands on deck. God bless you. Have a great